Okay, so get this. The very first YouTube video
Yeah.
was just some guy at the zoo.
Hmm.
I mean, can you believe that
Okay.
sparked a revolution? And yet here we are diving deep into the world of YouTube, from its humble beginnings to the cultural and technological behemoth it is today. You sent over this really insightful article about YouTube's journey, and I'm honestly a little floored by how much this platform has changed everything in just a couple of decades.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating story. It makes you wonder, what if that first video, me at the zoo, had been something different? Something more polished, maybe?
Hmm.
Would it have resonated the same way and sparked the same wave of user-generated content?
Right. It almost feels like faith that the first video was so simple,
Yeah.
so authentic. Speaking of which, the article mentions YouTube was started by three former PayPal employees, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim, the zoo guy himself.
Right.
Their initial idea was just to make sharing videos easier. Seems obvious now, but back then it was pretty groundbreaking.
Absolutely. Remember, this was before smartphones with decent cameras were commonplace. Sharing videos online was a real hassle.
Right.
These guys saw a need and just went for it.
Yeah.
They essentially democratized content creation, opening it up to anyone with an internet connection.
And that accessibility really played into YouTube's early growth. But the article highlights a turning point. Google acquiring YouTube in 2006 for a cool $1.65 billion. That seemed like a crazy gamble at the time, but in hindsight, it was a genius move.
Oh, absolutely. Google's resources allowed YouTube to scale up, rapidly improve its infrastructure, and maybe most importantly, they figured out the monetization game with ads.
Mm.
That's when things really exploded, and by 2011, YouTube was already the king of video sharing.
And that's when we started seeing the rise of the YouTuber as a legitimate thing, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
just funny cat videos anymore.
Exactly. You had early creators like Smosh and PewDiePie amassing millions of subscribers, showing the world that you could build a career on YouTube.
Mm.
And then in 2007, YouTube launched its partner program, allowing creators to get paid for their content, turning YouTube into a real career path.
I remember being blown away by Michelle Phan back in the day. Her makeup tutorials were unlike anything else online. It wasn't just about the techniques. She built a real connection with her audience, which was so new for the beauty world at the time. It really makes you think about the power of that parasocial connection. Viewers trusted her recommendations more than some random brand's ad.
Right, she tapped into something powerful.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really defined YouTube's growth, the sheer diversity of content. It's not just makeup or gaming. You've got education, DIY documentaries, you name it. It's like a whole world of niche communities and interests all connected through this platform.
But with all this content, how do people even find what they're looking for? The YouTube algorithm has gotten a lot of attention, for better or worse.
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. On one hand, it personalizes recommendations, keeps you engaged, helps creators reach new audiences. But there's also the issue of those filter bubbles we hear so much about,
Right.
where you only see content that reinforces your existing views. And then there's the whole debate about the algorithm prioritizing clickbait and sensationalized content potentially at the expense of quality or accuracy.
So it's almost like YouTube is constantly trying to find that sweet spot between giving people what they want and making sure it's not leading them down some rabbit hole of questionable content.
Exactly. YouTube has been tweaking the algorithm over the years, trying to address these issues. I mean, they've implemented changes to combat misinformation, and there's a human element involved too. But it's an ongoing challenge to get that balance right. You want to maintain freedom of expression, but you also have a responsibility to protect users from potentially harmful content.
Speaking of responsibility, the article also touches on some of the darker sides of YouTube, like how it's been used to spread misinformation and even promote harmful ideologies. It's a reminder that with great power comes great responsibility, right? And YouTube definitely has a lot of power these days.
It's a complex issue for sure. It's not just about censorship, it's about finding ways to promote responsible content creation and give users the tools to critically evaluate the information they're consuming.
Right. And we can't forget how YouTube has also been used as a force for good. I mean, think about all the educational content, the tutorials, the lectures. It's like a global classroom at your fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really become like an incredible resource for learning. You can find everything from basic how-to videos to lectures from top universities. It's really opened up access to knowledge like in a way that was never possible before.
Oh, yeah. I know. I've definitely lost a few hours down the YouTube rabbit hole, learning how to do everything from fixing a leaky faucet to coding a website. It's like having a personal tutor available 24/7.
Right, and that's what makes YouTube so powerful. It caters to everyone. Whether you want to learn a new skill, relax with some entertainment, or connect with like-minded individuals, there's something there for you. But let's not forget about the impact YouTube has had on the entertainment industry.
Yeah, you're right. We can't talk about YouTube without mentioning the whole influencer phenomenon. It feels like everyone and their dog is an influencer these days.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign of the times.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating how YouTube really paved the way for this whole concept of individuals building online empires and influencing millions of people.
It's crazy to think back to the early days of YouTube when those first creators were just figuring things out as they went along. There was no blueprint for success, no guarantee that it would even work.
Right. That's what makes their stories so inspiring. They were pioneers, experimenting with new formats, building communities, and connecting with audiences in ways that were totally unprecedented.
Like those early gamers who were just recording themselves playing video games. Who knew that would turn into such a massive phenomenon?
Right. And it wasn't just about the games themselves. It was about their personalities, their humor, their ability to create a shared experience with their viewers.
That's what I think is so compelling about YouTube. It's driven by personalities. It's not just polished corporate content. It's real people sharing their passions, their quirks, their lives.
Yeah, and that authenticity is what resonates with people. You feel like you're connecting with a friend, not just watching some faceless corporation try to sell you something.
Speaking of selling things, brands have definitely caught on to the power of YouTube influencers. It's become a huge part of the marketing landscape.
Absolutely. Influencer marketing has exploded in recent years, and YouTube has been at the forefront of that trend. It makes sense if you want to reach a specific audience, why not partner with someone they already trust and admire?
It's like the ultimate word of mouth marketing. People are way more likely to listen to a recommendation from a YouTuber they follow than some random ad on TV.
Right. It's a testament to the power of those parasocial relationships we were talking about earlier.
But it's not all fun and games, right? The article also talks about how YouTube has been used to spread misinformation and even harmful ideologies. It's kind of a dark side to this whole phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a serious issue, no doubt. YouTube, like any platform with such reach, has to grapple with the responsibility that comes with that power. There's a constant tension between freedom of expression and the need to protect users from harmful content.
It's a tough balance to strike, but I think it's important to remember that YouTube has also been used as a powerful tool for social change and activism.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
YouTube has given a voice to marginalized communities, allowed activists to document injustices, and help mobilize people around important causes.
It's amazing to think how a platform that started with some guy at the zoo could have such a profound impact on politics, social justice, and even global events.
Right. It really speaks to the transformative power of the internet. It's connected people in ways we never could have imagined, and it's given individuals the ability to reach a global audience and make their voices heard.
But even with all of its positive impacts, we have to be mindful of the potential downsides. The article talks about how YouTube's algorithm can create filter bubbles and echo chambers, potentially reinforcing biases and limiting exposure to diverse viewpoints.
It's a valid concern, and it's something we as users need to be aware of. We have to be conscious of the information we're consuming and make an effort to seek out diverse perspectives.
I know, I've definitely fallen into those YouTube rabbit holes where I'm just watching videos that confirm my existing beliefs.
Mm.
It's easy to get caught in that cycle.
It is. But I think it's also important to remember that YouTube is ultimately a tool. It's how we use it that determines its impact.
Right. We can choose to use it as a source of entertainment, education, connection, or even inspiration. Or we can let it lead us down those rabbit holes of misinformation and negativity.
Exactly. The choice is ours.
You know, when we were talking about the early days of YouTube, it got me thinking about how much the platform has evolved over the years. Remember those grainy, low-res videos from back in the day? Now we've got high-definition 4K videos, even live streaming and 360-degree experiences.
Yeah, technology has definitely played a huge role in YouTube's evolution. And it's exciting to think about what the future holds. I mean, with advancements in VR and AR, who knows what kind of immersive experiences we'll be seeing on YouTube in the years to come.
I can't even imagine. But one thing's for sure, YouTube has come a long way from those humble beginnings. It's become a cultural phenomenon, a technological marvel, and a force to be reckoned with.
It's a testament to the power of human creativity and the ingenuity of those who dared to dream big.
And as we continue this deep dive, let's explore what YouTube's success tells us about the changing media landscape, the power of user-generated content, and the evolving relationship between technology and society.
Yeah, it really is wild to think about how much the media landscape has shifted since YouTube first came on the scene. Traditional media is scrambling to keep up, especially with younger generations who seem to just live and breathe online content. Yeah, it's a whole new world. YouTube really proved that user-generated content wasn't just a fad. It was a fundamental shift in how we consume and interact with media. It gave a voice to the voiceless,
Yeah.
a platform to the passionate, and an audience to the creative.
It's almost like YouTube leveled the playing field. Suddenly, you didn't need a $1 million studio or a network contract to reach millions of people. All you needed was a camera, an internet connection, and something to say.
Yeah, it was a real democratization of media. And I think that's what's so fascinating about YouTube's impact. It's not just about entertainment or even information. It's about empowerment. It's given individuals the ability to build communities, share their stories, and even challenge the status quo.
I remember when YouTube first started getting popular, people were skeptical. They saw it as a platform for just silly cat videos and amateur hour productions.
Right.
But it quickly became clear that there was something much deeper going on. People were connecting with these creators in a way they never had before. There was a rawness and authenticity that you just didn't find in traditional media. And that authenticity is what I think has made YouTube so enduring. It's constantly evolving, reflecting the changing interests and values of its users.
Absolutely, YouTube is a living, breathing entity. It's shaped by the contributions of millions of individuals, and it reflects the diversity and dynamism of our global culture.
Which is both exciting and a little bit daunting, right? I mean, when you think about the sheer volume of content on YouTube, it's overwhelming.
It can be,
Hmm.
but it's also what makes YouTube so unique. It's a platform for discovery, a place where you can stumble upon something unexpected and be completely blown away.
Yeah, and that's something that I think traditional media struggles with. They're so focused on curated content, on trying to appeal to the masses, that they often miss out on those niche interests, those unique voices that make YouTube so special.
Yeah, it's the difference between like a curated garden and a wild forest. One is neat and orderly, the other is chaotic and unpredictable, but full of life and unexpected beauty.
I love that analogy. And it's a good reminder that even with all the challenges YouTube faces, like misinformation, filter bubbles, and content moderation, it's still a powerful force for good.
Absolutely. YouTube has connected people across cultures, fostered learning and creativity, and given a platform to those who might otherwise have been silenced.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I keep coming back to that question we posed at the beginning. Would YouTube be the same if that first video wasn't so simple, so authentic?
It's hard to say for sure,
Hmm.
but I think there's something to be said for the power of ordinariness, of capturing those everyday moments that resonate with people on a deeper level.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes the most profound things are the simplest, and that anyone, anywhere can create something that changes the world.
That's the beauty of YouTube. It's a testament to the power of human connection, creativity, and the enduring spirit of innovation.
Well said. So for anyone listening, maybe this deep dive has inspired you to explore some new corners of YouTube, to connect with a community, or even to start creating your own content. Who knows, maybe your video will be the next me at the zoo, sparking a new revolution we can't even imagine.